Hello, everybody. Happy to announce we are finally back. Hello, welcome to twitch.tv/Samodian, where we play horrifying board games. And very specifically, one horrifying board game, and that is Kingdom Death Monster by way of the Kingdom Death Simulator. As with every stream, we kick ourselves off with a bit of a content warning. That's not how you spell content, Sam. That's also not how you spell content. Third time's the charm. Why am I not signed in to Twitch on my own OBS? Please stand by. Nailed it. Thank you, Pizza, for I did not forget any rules, and I will have you know I remembered my password first try. So yes, Kingdom Death is a very mature game, contains a lot of mature imagery, as well as descriptions and depictions of violence, gore, as well as mental trauma. So first and foremost, please look out for yourselves, protect yourselves, and be safe. That said, we're not going to get into too much of that this week. First of all, small apologies. Had to take a little extra time off that I hadn't quite anticipated. Was feeling a bit unwell again, but back, ready to roll. As far as the simulator is concerned, yeah, this will be the exact opposite of the Toys R Us holiday catalog, but sure. We are going to, with the simulator where it's at right now, not feeling too well. This cool little box over here, the Stone Cloud, which is our online cloud save for the campaign, has been a little off kilter since the Halloween update. A lot of people have reported that it is not updating their progress. Part of the reason why I took a little extra time off was just to see if that would right itself. Looks like we didn't get there. But additionally, we got some stuff coming up, perhaps. We're going to get into that in a second, because with that Halloween update, we got a couple new bits of content to look at. So these are the pillar survivors of Fade and Percival. So let's start off by taking a look at our new content. So not a lot going on here. Single model and just a couple of cards. But let's take a look at Fade herself. Very interesting looking model. There's a little something back here. It's a little baby. Hello, little baby. So why is there a baby in my game? Well, let's start off with the pillars themselves. What does this mean? That is... I also want... Here we go, the guide. So, we have our handy little install guide here. This product includes a pillar card, a type of campaign setup card introduced in Campaigns of Death Volume 1. That's really cool, except Campaigns of Death Volume 1 doesn't exist yet. All right, so adding an extra layer onto this. Campaigns of Death is an upcoming large expansion for the game. It is essentially going to be Kingdom Death 2.5, let's call it. If the current edition of the game is 1.6, colloquially, the Gambler's Chest is often referred to as 2.0. I think we can call Campaigns of Death 2.1, 2.5. However, 2.1 is the more appropriate programming term for it. So yeah, we'll call it Campaigns of Death version 2.1 of the game. It's going to take a lot of the old game content and bring it up to work with Gambler's Chest. We'll get into some of those details in a little bit. But it's not here yet. It should be here soon. Poots made a very bold declaration that it would be out by the end of the year. Everybody had a good laugh about that, and of course, was not surprised when it was announced to be pushed back to next year. The main difference between Campaigns of Death and Gambler's Chest with regards to delays, Gambler's Chest was delayed for like 5 years, something along those lines. Gambler's Chest had a lot of game design that still needed to be worked on. Intense amount of scope creep. As originally advertised, it was much smaller. I think the original Kickstarter backers got the entire Gambler's Chest for like $40, I want to say, whereas now it retails for, I think, $350, $400. So it grew quite a bit over time. And with all of that content they added in, there was a lot of play testing involved, a lot of balancing, and it just took, unfortunately, several years for us to get there. The way Campaigns of Death sounds is that it is largely rules complete. As you can see here, we already have content that is referencing Campaigns of Death, so it would not be good if Campaigns of Death was itself still under development. A lot of the current delay for Campaigns of Death appears to simply be on the model production side, which is just going to take some time, especially with the current state of international economics. But I'm fairly confident we will see Campaigns of Death at some point early to mid next year. But we already have elements from Campaigns of Death that are kind of rolling into our campaigns currently. So what is a pillar? I'll be honest, not entirely sure. We've seen pillars pop up. I think they've said that the scout system and the encounter system from the Gambler's Chest are classified as pillars. Things like seed patterns are also pillars. What a pillar character is, we don't really have a good idea for that just yet. So they're just extra little things that are added into our campaign. So where this involves our current campaign is that the rules here state when the settlement innovates storytelling, replace a random basic hunt event card in your hunt event deck with the baby and the sword pillar hunt event card to your campaign milestones on your settlement record sheet. We have not yet innovated storytelling, so we'll just keep this in the box until it comes time. Reminder, Baby and the Sword is a pillar hunt event which can only occur once per campaign. After you resolve it in your campaign, replace the card and set aside random basic hunt event. So that hunt event has gorgeous artwork. Let's start there. And this is a reminder. Oh, pizza, you're gonna regret those words in just a moment. Reminder of what this means. So when the Campaigns of Death does exist and the pillar system is fully online, this is the card you'll be utilizing for it. And then the event itself. The Baby and the Sword. The survivors find a woman's corpse riddled with arrows. So if you remember when we had our Indomitable Survivors and some other stuff, they were in white boxes. That is a fairly common thing amongst Kingdom Death, that these single character expansions are in white boxes, whereas Fade and Percival were in black boxes. The reason for that is Fade and Percival themselves, the characters, are dead. The additions to the campaign come from them, but they themselves are not present in the campaign. The body rests in a center of a pattern drawn in blood, a screaming infant in one hand and a sword in the other. As the survivors approach, a massive worm bursts from the ground to block their way. And we're not going to get into the rest of this because we will cross that bridge when we come to it. But what does this mean? We have not come across them yet in any of our campaigns, but Fade is what is known as a white speaker. I guess the best way I can describe the White Speakers at this point, with my somewhat limited knowledge of the lore of Kingdom Death compared to a lot of other content creators who have played dozens of campaigns, they're kind of like the Bene Gesserit. They guide development and control things along that front. And the important thing about Fade, she got pregnant, which is not something the White Speakers are to do. She ran away and was hunted down by... Where are they? F3. Do I have them? Oh, I don't have the exact names. We'll get the book. Let's just grab the book. Oh my goodness. What a disaster. Get it together, Sam. By the Red Witches. So there is definitely a link here between the Red Witches and Fade, because literally page 1 of the Red Witches book, this is Fade right here. So some interesting lore stuff here. And what does this baby mean? What does the sword mean? Maybe we will come across that at some point. Let's go ahead and archive these guys. Also have our gear, where we can see here. We have the Sword of Silence and the Newborn. So that is something that will come up at some point in our playthroughs in the future. So for now, Fade can go sit on the shelf with all her friends. Next up, we have Percival. So, Percival herself, a very stoic knight, excellent model. And what is Percival? So, Percival, very much just like Fade, blah, 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 Campaigns of Death. If you do not have Campaigns of Death, replace a random basic hunt event card in your hunt event deck with Dead Warrior. Add that to Lantern Year 13 on our timeline. So as we hit Lantern Year 13, boom, just do it. Well, we don't do the event. We add it into our deck, which will enable us to draw it at some point in the near future. Pillar card, that's more of the same. Let's just go chuck that into the box straight away. And what does that hunt event mean? Dead Warrior, the hunting party stops several paces away from a one-handed skeleton clad in ancient rusted armor. A strange tablet covered in inscriptions lies next to it. If the settlement has pictograph, a survivor with 3+ understanding may investigate. If no one investigates, roll a random hunt event. So, this guides the development of our settlement. Once Lantern Year 13 hits, we're gonna want that pictograph, because remember, we can only draw this card once. If we draw this card and we don't have pictograph, sorry. And involved with Fade, instead of gear, we have a secret fighting art, the Black Guard style. So where Fade ties into things, have not seen it on stream just yet. Fade used to be a member of the Black Knight's Guard. So you can see the Black Knight helmet that he is wearing is the exact same helmet Percival is carrying. So have some interesting relationships here as well. I like when these little single expansions tie into the overall world. It makes them so much more valuable than realistically paying $7 for a fighting art is what happened here. So that handles our new goodies. You can go hang out on the shelf as well. Send this stuff into our game box, and I think that's everything. All right. So as I mentioned, Simulator ain't feeling too good right now. If I were to play tonight, there is a non-zero chance I would lose my progress, as character sheets and stuff will not be saved in between sessions. Potentially, there's some ways I can work with that, especially since I have stream archives I can draw upon to help me fix all those things. But we're going to take another break for this week from playing Kingdom Death. For that reason, and for some other reasons we're going to get into. So, instead of playing Kingdom Death, I'm just going to play Vampire Survivors. Let's go. Nah, I'm messing with you. We're not playing Vampire Survivors. We are actually just going to be having like a chat today. Of particular note, in the launcher for the Kingdom Death Simulator showed up a week ago, I want to say. Very important message that the simulator will be down for maintenance next Friday. That is, of course, Black Friday. This could mean several things. What this potentially means is that we might finally be getting the Gambler's Chest. We've been hearing for months now that it's almost ready. A lot of people have been assuming that that meant a Black Friday launch. Black Friday is a very important day to Kingdom Death, but no confirmations. Getting this tiny little crumb certainly helps us along that road. I am hopeful. This month for sure, guys. But we don't know for sure. So I'm just going to take the week off of the simulator to see what happens next week, and we will move on from there. So let's talk about some stuff tonight. First of all, this was the Halloween update. Poots has been talking about potentially launching a Kickstarter specifically for the simulator for a while now. And in our monthly update last month, this is what we had to say. Kingdom Death Kickstarter this Black Friday? Who could say? We are still very undecided. I would very much like to expand that team, increase its stability, and realize more of the features we are excited to make faster. But I just don't know. Would it be weird to put a cap on it? So the spots are limited and aimed more towards people that are passionate about supporting more of what goes into software development and less of a, quote, general audience type of campaign. We are still mulling it over. We are slow, and while the team on the sim is different than the team that's finishing up our long-awaited Kickstarter promises, I would not want to make any of you guys here feel betrayed that our attention is somehow divided. So feel free to be open and honest and respectful about the subject in the comments below. I worry that if we don't move on it now, we may lose a really great opportunity to give the Dark Architects more firepower. And there are plenty of comments with a lot of people weighing in. Not going to go through any of those right now. Don't want to call anybody out. My personal opinion, as someone who is heavily invested in the simulator already, I was unsure about this a few months ago when it was first brought up. Now that we're potentially here, I do think this is something the simulator needs. We've definitely seen over the past couple months, the simulator is not doing great from a software standpoint. There's a lot of things that the team wants to do with the simulator. It started as more of a one-to-one representation of the actual tabletop product. As a matter of fact, during the pandemic, when people could not get together, the simulator is what they used to play test the game. But over time, they've tried to make it into a more consumer-friendly product. You've seen me play for months here now. Lots of fiddling, lots of figuring out buttons and controls and how to like work around the game. Personally, I love that stuff. I love a fiddly game. Give me a physics simulator and let me figure out how to make it work myself, and I'm fine. But they've tried to include a lot of automation stuff. We've absolutely seen that, like hunt automation, setup automation. I've used those religiously. I'm sorry, hunt automation and showdown automation. I've used those religiously. I use them every single time. They work, as far as I can tell, flawlessly. Settlement automation is a thing. I have not particularly utilized it, but I know some people do, and it seems to work fine. That's cool. We've seen attack automation with the Gorm recently, with the Wretch being somewhat automated. As well as there's a lot of other stuff. There's dash automation, attack automation, various things that are tied into specific models right now because they are beta testing. I think Morg, our big axe wielder from the Gorm, has the attack automation built into him. Haven't used it because I just like rolling the dice. I don't want to automate too much of the game. I feel like automating too much personally takes me away from the feeling of playing the game, which is what I'm here for. That said, other people have different opinions. And if there's an audience for those features, I do not want to stand in the way of those features being a thing. But those features take time, they take effort, they take people, and that means money. Thus far, the simulator has been funded largely out of the greater Kingdom Death budget, in addition to the actual sale of the simulator itself. But an infusion into that team, I think, is going to be very welcome right now. So as far as Kickstarter is concerned, I think now is the right time for it. Traditionally, Black Friday is like the big annual event for Kingdom Death. There's always a huge sale, lots of new stuff going on. They'll usually like open up pre-orders for upcoming products. Really cool time. This is how I got into the game myself. It was on Black Friday stuff. That's when I put in like my pre-order for the 1.6 and the Gambler's Chest and Campaigns of Death. And then while I was still waiting on that stuff, Black Friday came around and I just bought some expansions because they were like half off. So I had like Dragon King and Flower Knight and stuff just sitting around our apartment before I even had the base game. And every Black Friday, I usually get something that I've had my eye on. It's a really fun time to be involved with this game and with this community. So between this announcement and what we've seen from the Kickstarter, highly likely we might be seeing the Gambler's Chest this week on the simulator. If not Gambler's Chest, maybe the painting that we've been promised, something along those lines. So really looking forward to seeing what's coming, and hoping we can kind of ramp up production of stuff on the simulator, because I would love to see this product flourish. And as we've seen here, the simulator isn't doing anything new with regards to Kingdom Death, right? It's using the 3D models that have already been designed. It's using all of the rules and all of the artwork that has already been made for the game. The people who are making the physical game are not the same people who are making the digital game. So I understand, for a Kickstarter that's been kicking around for a decade now and change, there's hesitancy to additional scope creep, a la what we discussed with the Gambler's Chest. But I don't think that's going to be a concern with this specific product. Other people might disagree, and they're very welcome to have their opinions. I cannot disagree with them. I have not been a part of this community for the decade plus that it has been ongoing. I am a relative newcomer of 4 years now, I want to say. So my point of view will be a bit different from someone else's. So that's what we have coming up on Black Friday next week. We have potentially an update coming to the simulator. Very likely a big sale coming up. So I figured instead of playing, since like I said, little unsteady what's going to happen with the simulator itself, I thought we'd just go through the store and look at the products that are there, and I would kind of do a little just chatting / holiday buyer's guide. So that's where we are this evening. That's what we're going to be spending the rest of our time doing. Not going to be a 3 to 4 hour stream like it is most weeks. My voice is going to give out at some point before then, but we're going to sit here and chat for a bit. So let's start with the simulator itself, right? So would I recommend buying the simulator today? No. I know that's a weird thing to say, but give it a week. Let's see what Black Friday has to offer. Would I recommend the simulator in general? Absolutely. That said, I don't want people to spend money on something now and have something different happen in 7 days. I would assume people will be taken care of. As a master key holder, I would be very upset if somehow the game changed and everything I spent money on is no longer welcome. That's not how Team Death works. I'm sure anybody who has accidentally muted myself. Anybody who has previously made a purchase will be taken care of. But if it's only another week to wait, you might as well wait that week. As for the simulator itself, right, we have a couple of different options currently. The digital dwelling key, I believe this is around $20. Yeah, digital dwelling key is $20. Just access to the game. You get the whole house and all of those goodies. All of the quality of life stuff that's been added. So the stone cloud, the ghost pen, the magnifying glass, all that stuff, and the entire base game. The entire base game is still a lot of stuff. You could very happily play that base game for 50, 60 to 100 hours. Like, that's no exaggeration. Illusionist key, exact same as the digital dwelling key, just you literally get a key. So if you would like a fun little physical implement, you can go with that. That runs up to $35. So $15 for a very nice little lost my train of thought. $15 for a very nice little bauble you can have around, as well as looks like there's some art cards and stuff. Cool. The master key is what I have. The master key I have largely out of convenience because I will be the first to tell you, currently the master key is not worth the price. So the master key, pizza, look away. The master key currently runs $320, which is a lot of money. But the master key gets you almost everything that Kingdom Death has to offer. Get the core game, all that stuff, and you get all existing and future monster expansions and vignettes. Does not include single release miniatures. So what does that mean? That means Pariah, Red Witches, the entire Volume 1, which is all these guys, right? As well as you get Frogdog, you get Black Knight, and you get the Gigalion, and where is it? All right, can't seem to currently find it on the page, but you also get the Killenium Butcher, and we just saw in physical this past month, we got the release of the Nukealope. So all that rolls into that $320, which right now is, let's just say 150. I'd say it's about $175, maybe $200 worth of stuff. Very clearly, not $320 worth of value. That said, all of the future content that will be coming for the next several years is rolled into that. Over time, that $320 will have value. The whole reason for the Master Key was for people who wanted to support the development of the simulator, they would they were given that option, right? You're paying in heavily now, giving a large influx of cash to the team to work on development, and then over the years it will pay for itself. Um, if I recall, when the simulator was first launched, the Master Key was limited. It actually went away for a while. It wasn't until the Master Key was came back in, and I believe since then it has been fully available for about a year or so now. That's when I jumped in. But yeah, that's everything you get. In addition, right, other stuff that's available for the simulator. We have all the Indomitable Survivors, Skrelle, Echoes of Death, and then the pillar characters that we just talked about. All of those that I have in the simulator, I have bought separately. Yeah, look at it, $7. Sure, that's fine. That's not the only ones I don't have. Echoes of Death. Personally, I'm in the minority amongst the Kingdom Death community. Not a big fan of Echoes of Death. We're going to discuss that in a little more detail when we get to the non-simulator stuff. But if you would like them, you get 4 cool models, some gameplay stuff. Not for me. Not for me. With regards to Black Friday, assuming there is no Kickstarter, I would not expect a sale on any digital product on Black Friday. The last couple Black Fridays came and went with no activity on that front. I mean, I think $20 for the key. Most of the expansions run, $7 to $15. I think those are very fair for the amount of content they have to offer. Still weird. Like, where's the Killenium Butcher? I know he's in. I know he's in the simulator. I have it. I just don't know why it's not here on the store page. That's weird. Must be some sort of weird glitch. So if it were not the potential dawning of this Kickstarter, I would say don't wait for Black Friday. Jump in whenever you want to buy the simulator. But with that Kickstarter coming, give it a week. If nothing happens and you want to jump in on Black Friday, don't be surprised if there are no discounts. Let's talk about the game itself. So, this is something a lot of my coworkers make fun of me about, and I can't argue with them. This is an expensive game. When I purchased Kingdom Death, I believe I paid $350 for the core box. It went up to around $400 once it was in full release again. I believe they bumped the price up a little bit due to the global economic status that we currently exist in. But expect all of this to be on sale come Black Friday. Traditionally, discounts in the range of 25 to 30-ish%, sometimes a little more, depending on the content. But, and this is a big but, let's take a look here at Kingdom Death. Oh, there's an animation now. Ooh, I haven't seen that before. Go. There's so much to scroll through here. Where is the buy me button? Oh, there it is, dummy. So it is currently out of stock in Europe and Australia, showing in stock US, UK, and Canada. They have said quantities are currently very limited. They were able to get a small production run done earlier this year. They had physical inventory on hand for Gen Con and have had the remainder up on the web store since. I think a lot of people are in a holding pattern waiting for the Black Friday sale. But do not be surprised if come Black Friday, the core game is sold out. What they will usually do on Black Friday when the core game is sold out is they will open up, well, they will reopen the backer kit from the Kickstarter and allow people to pre-order the core box for when it finally is available once again. Don't know what the timeline is for that. That might not even happen, but traditionally that is what happens on Black Friday. And you've seen what the core game has to offer. Campaign 1 was 100% core game. Most of the stuff we've done since then is still heavily invested in the core game. Like I said, you will get hours upon hours upon hours of gameplay. And if, like me, you are interested in the hobby aspect, there is a lot to offer here. Tons of models. Look at all the monsters. Let's see. Let's get a breakdown. I think it's down here at the bottom. Yeah, miniatures. All this. And the core game miniatures are highly customizable. Multiple heads, multiple arms, multiple weapons. You can kind of mix and match, do what you want. Like there's a lot of hobby aspect to it. The old models, I will admit, are a little rough compared to the new models, but they still look awesome. If you like to spend time building and painting, this further adds to the value here. Gambler's Chest. So they will typically offer a bundle. I believe last year the core game Gambler's Chest bundle was $666, if I'm remembering correctly, which, when you look at it now, heck of a value. But let's take some time to actually talk about the Gambler's Chest. We have not seen the Gambler's Chest yet on stream because it does not exist in the simulator. Fingers crossed, definitely happening this month. What is the Gambler's Chest? The Gambler's Chest, as I've said, is essentially Kingdom Death 2.0. Completely changes the way you play the game. The rules are still the same, right? Attack rolls, all that stuff. Like they haven't changed the game mechanically, but they have added so much additional depth to the game that it will be very hard to go back to playing without it if you choose to do so. And there is an absolute ton of stuff. Again, tons of models, lots of actual like game content with cards and like there's books. Like, look at this. This is wild. And very underrated feature. This little box right here isn't just for looks. I love this little box. This little box is basically your settlement box. So when you have these two gigantic boxes full of stuff, as well as all of your expansion stuff that's in there, right? It gets a little difficult to actually play the game. You gotta find all the stuff you're looking for. So this little box basically allows you to take, hey, this is the stuff I'm playing with in this campaign. Move it into the box. It lets you separate out, okay, cool, here's the fighting arts that I have access to. Yeah, here's my current innovations. Like, and you anything you're not using at the time, you shove it off into another box to worry about when you need it. And all the stuff that you need at hand. Like I'm talking about a freaking cardboard box, but trust me, I didn't know how much I needed this box until I had this box. Let's just leave it at that. What have we got here? Let's run through some of the highlights. So, new monsters. Crimson Croc, awesome. Smog Singers are neat. Atlas is neat. The King. The king has arrived. The king is something that has been promised to Kingdom Death for literal years. We await the king. The king is finally graced us with his presence. The king is something that pops up in a lot of lore as you're playing the game. Took a decade for him to get here, but he is a big part of this box, as well as he's just a node 4 monster, so you can add the king into any other campaign that you wish once you have it. And then Gambler and God Hand, these are the story characters. Gambler is your core monster. God Hand is your finale monster. So what this means is, since when you're playing the People of the Dream, which is the campaign included with the Gambler's Chest, the God Hand is part of that campaign, which means you will need to use the hand as your Node 3 Nemesis. Of course, the hand comes in the core box, so nothing crazy there, but can't swap him out for other stuff. So in addition, for the main campaign, you will still be using the Phoenix from the core box for your Node 3 quarry. You will still be using the Butcher from the core box for your Node 1 Nemesis. And like I said, still be using the hand for your Node 3. Phoenix and Butcher, you can absolutely still swap out if you want. Same thing with everything. Like, the only things that are required for People of the Dream are Gambler and God Hand. You can swap these out with any of the other ones you want. Arc Survivors. Arc Survivors are an insane addition to this game. Essentially, every character has a philosophy. What we saw here, that's these books. All of these little books. Like, it is literally a character arc that, instead of the age events that we had in the core game, when they reach those milestones, they'll advance within their philosophy. They will gain new abilities. They will gain new disorders, right? But it gives you such a cool way to actually customize your characters outside of just random RNG of what fighting arts and disorders that I happen to draw, and being able to like mix and match. Like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I have my survivalist for a support character, goes great with a optimist, I think is the one I'm thinking of, for a tank. Like, really, really interesting things that make your campaign very unique. It's no longer, these are just my people. The gear is your campaign. The people are just the future dead bodies that are carting the gear around. Now those people actually have character of their own. Really awesome system. Also have the knowledge system tied in with philosophies. So every philosophy has a core knowledge. So we see here for Deadism, Death Poet, and you will advance your knowledges throughout your lifetime as well. Additionally, you'll gain other knowledges, and again, just a way to help customize your character. You can actually have character builds for people who love RPGs. You can actually build a character to do what you want to do instead of hoping you get the right rolls to put things onto a character. And then finally, Collective Cognition. Collective Cognition is a very cool system. Essentially, you get a certain number of points every time you hunt a monster within limit. So you get a point the first time you hunt a level 1 monster for each node. So if you hunt the Crimson Croc, you get 1 point. You hunt the Smog Singers, you get a second point. But if you hunt the Crimson Croc a second time at level 1, you don't get anything. But if you hunt a level 2 Crimson Croc, you get 2 points. And you could do that twice. So it pushes you as the player to have a risk reward, right? Like, you want to be risky because you need to fight higher level monsters to develop, and you will be greatly rewarded. And so what we see here with the actual Arc Survivors themselves, they are stronger than the characters we know. So they are more capable of doing that. And it's just another cool way to like guide the player through the campaign instead of just like you saw me last time we played. I was like, I don't know what I want to do right now. I don't think I'm ready for a level 2 monster, but I fought the Gorm and the Flower Knight at level 1 so many times, I don't want to do it anymore. So do I push myself and potentially wreck my whole campaign just because I'm a little bored? Or do I play it safe and slow down my development because I'm not getting as many resources? Collective cognition helps you make those decisions. And that's what this deck is. As you reach those point milestones, you will unlock new abilities for your survivors, for your settlement. So it's an incredible system. It's a lot. If you thought I went insane trying to keep everything track for myself in the base game, I might actually have a seizure doing Gambler's Chess on my own digitally, but we're going to do it. It's a lot of fun. We have our first encounter of the Bone Eaters. So this is simply a hunt event. You can draw the Bone Eaters as a hunt event, and you'll have to go do an extra fight on your way to the monster. Adds a lot of danger to the campaign. Very cool. We have the Scouts. Be honest, not a big fan of the Scout system. It's a cool system of having a 5th character that comes along and does special stuff. Has their own hunt events, can help you get extra resources, can support the team. That is cool. As a solo player, the last thing I want is a 5th character that I have to keep track of. So when we finally do get the Gambler's Chest in the simulator, I will use the Scout for my first campaign within the Gambler's Chest. And do not be surprised if I do not use it again. A lot of content creators don't like the Scout because it makes the game too easy. That's fine. I don't particularly care about the difficulty. I care about having another overlay to manage. I care about having another character sheet I got to put somewhere. That's where I'm at with the Scout right now. It's a cool system that does not interest me personally. Seed patterns. Do we have a seed pattern we can take a look at? Do I have one in the simulator? I don't think so. Let me take a quick trip over to the simulator to double check. I know I have regular patterns. And I know they have included seed patterns in the base game and stuff. I don't know if I have patterns. Moment, please. No, those are regular patterns. And I know you can't see any of this because I have the browser overlay up, so please bear with me. Where did it go now? Did it pull the whole thing? There were 2 different ones. Apparently it was. Okay. Yeah, all right. So I don't have any seed patterns to show the class in the simulator. I think there might be one in the Frogdog box, but I don't have the Frogdog currently unboxed. Let's see here. Kingdom Death Seed Pattern. Okay, cool. So here's one we can look at. So what is a seed pattern? A seed pattern is a special type of crafting. You'll draw these essentially every time you hit level 3 understanding in the Gambler's Chest. You'll have a whole deck of these, and you'll draw random ones. So seed pattern is a different type of crafting based on things you accomplish, right? It'll have material components required. So to make this rawhide bandana, we need 1 endeavor, a rawhide headband, and a hide. But there will also be additional elements involved. It's like seeds of innovation, right? That once you achieve these particular milestones, suddenly like your survivors figure out how to make these things. So for this one, a hardworking survivor with 2 hunt XP searches for a solution for their hair loss. And during a settlement symposium, the elders mock the vain survivor. So you have to have a survivor with 2 hunt XP. That's not very hard to get. And the symposium innovation, which you should have anyway. It's one of the best ones in the game. And then there's usually like a little lore bit as well. Humiliated, they tailor a design to symbolize their determination. This doesn't actually do anything mechanically, but it is a fun bit of story development for your settlement. I think there's also like a purple one that's like a disorder or like an actual negative side effect to crafting the item. But it gives you something to work on. Like if you're like, hey, I need to hunt a level 3 monster. I don't know what level 3 monster I need to hunt right now. I can hunt the croc. I can hunt the griffin, or not the griffin, the phoenix. I can hunt the smog singers. I don't know which one to do. And then you can maybe look at your seed patterns, and that can kind of help you make that decision. Like, oh, hey, I need somebody to get the killing blow on the phoenix with a fist and tooth. So I should probably try to do that, right? Another way of kind of guiding your campaign. So it's another nice feature. And the gear is pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie. Because with the traditional crafting, like, hey, cool, I have my my Gormery. Here's the stuff I want to make. Cool. I've made everything I want to make out of the Gorm. Why would I bother hunting the Gorm again? Well, I'm hunting the Gorm again because I have to. Whereas seed patterns give you additional benefits to hunting monsters that you would not previously have had. We've got the Wanderers. We'll touch on this a little more, but essentially you can add 1 Wanderer into your campaign. There's somebody from outside the traditional structure of Kingdom Death that comes to assist your settlement. And then characters. Last thing we got to talk about here. I think this is the last major system. Once you reach a certain milestone, there's an innovation called character. And what that means is when you have a new survivor in your settlement, through intimacy or just getting extra population, you actually draw from a character deck. And that will give that character boons as well as downsides. So again, taking all of this that I've talked about with the arc survivors, with the philosophies, with the knowledges, and now with the characters, it gives so much more depth to your survivors. Another fun system. And then all of the models that you see here, some of them are armor sets, like trying to see what I can see. Like, yeah, these little bard ones, these are the smog singers, but a lot of these are the actual characters that correspond to the character cards. So there's a lot of extra models in this kit that are not associated specifically with crafting. They're associated with that character system. And then the People of the Dreamkeeper campaign. And I think we're good there. So, all that said, if you are interested in Kingdom Death, the first thing you should buy is, of course, the core game. Can't get anywhere without the core game. Highly suggest the second thing you buy is the Gambler's Chest. That's just my recommendation. That said, that's a lot of money. I totally understand if that is not something a newcomer to the hobby is interested in. So we're going to talk about all of the rest of the expansions and kind of give my recommendations for what we want. So I will just scroll all the way down. We're going to start from the bottom here and work our way up because these are the new ones. Although these are also not quite new themselves. They're not quite old. So starting, I'll actually come back. Yeah, whatever. Killenium Butcher. Killenium Butcher, very cool. It essentially upgrades your Butcher. So when you fight a level 2 or a level 3 Butcher, you will fight the Killenium version of the Butcher. I think we're done there. Let's go ahead and close that. This is one I personally have not had any interaction with. Do not own this in physical. Have it on the simulator, just haven't put it into a campaign just yet. But where is he? Very cool model. As well as you get 4 Survivor minis. And as this is a vignette, you do get like a pre-made like one shot against the Killenium. For Killenium, I would say, I'm trying to remember how I want to do this. I had strong recommend, I had avoid, and I still haven't quite figured out what I want the middle one to be. We'll just call it maybe. All right, we'll give that a maybe. How do I color a cell? There we go. Maybe. If you like the Butcher, and you should, the Butcher is literally one of the best designed monsters in the entire game. Nailed it out of the gate. Cool upgrade, but not exactly necessary. Same thing here with the white Gigalion. We did see this on stream. I did like the little vignette, at least a little bit. Took me too long to set it up. I couldn't actually get it run through. Same thing as the Killenium Butcher. The white Gigalion upgrades the white lion. I'm going to give this one a maybe as well, because again, it's not cheap. And it's only upgrading something. It's not adding something to the game. So when you fight a level 2 or a level 3 white lion, you will fight the white Gigalion. The difference that this has over the Butcher is it also upgrades your Caterium crafting location. So the white lion gear, which is mediocre at best, this will allow you to craft some better versions of that white lion gear. Green Knight, we're gonna say is an avoid for now. So I should probably zoom in on this a bit because it does not look great on stream. There we go. That's better. Green Knight is literally just an armor set. Like, that's all that's in here. An armor set. It's cool because it's essentially like a mini campaign in its own. Like, you could just add Green Knight to any campaign you want and it gives you something to work on, because actually crafting the green armor is kind of a goal of its own. Let's see, does it say here? It doesn't say here what you need. But in order to even utilize the Green Knight, you need other expansions. You need Flower Knight. I believe you need Lion Knight. You need the Knight expansions. Flower Knight, Lion Knight, Dung, Beetle Knight. I think you also need Spidicules. And maybe Slenderman? I don't remember. I don't have the Green Knight. But if you have literally everything else for the game, Green Knight is a cool thing to have. If you do not have literally everything else, Green Knight is a major pass. Getting into the actual expansions themselves. So, Sunstalker. for me, Sunstalker without with Gambler's Chest is a maybe. Without Gambler's Chest is a buy. And why do I say that? The Sunstalker is awesome. Let's start with that. It's an expensive set, but it comes with a lot of stuff, including its own full campaign. The People of the Sun campaign comes with the Sunstalker. Personally, I have not played this campaign, but I know the general consensus is it is one of the weaker campaigns, but just by virtue of being a campaign, you are getting a lot of value out of this expansion. But, the big but, with Gambler's Chest, we didn't talk about it too much. Let's come back here real quick. This collective cognition portion of the Gambler's Chest does not work with a lot of the older expansions. Or let me rephrase that. It does not work with any of the older expansions. Collective Cognition works with everything included in the Gambler's Chest, works with everything included in the core game, to the point where it actually like adds a lot of extra stuff to the Phoenix between this and the Indomitable resources, as well as newer releases. So like the Frogdog does have stuff that works with the Gambler's Chest. For anything else, all of the old expansions do not play particularly well with the Gambler's Chest right now. So that's why for without the Gambler's Chest, strong buy. With the Gambler's Chest, it is still a very cool thing to have. The Sunstalker as People of the Sun, probably, I would say, play that without the Gambler's Chest stuff, without Ark Survivors, without all that stuff, because it has its own systems that I think adding Gambler's Chest on top of will be a little too chaotic. It works perfectly fine as a Node 3 Nemesis, but does not have the same stuff that you'll get from the Phoenix, just by virtue of the fact that those cards don't exist yet. That is what we're waiting on with Campaigns of Death. Campaigns of Death will be upgrading all of these older expansions to work with the Gambler's Chest. So until Campaigns of Death comes out, a lot of these old expansions are going to be not solid purchases with regards to the Gambler's Chest. Spidicules. You saw Spidicules in Campaign 3, I believe. The absolutely cursed campaign that got nowhere. Straight up going to say this one's an avoid for now. We'll see what Campaigns of Death does, but two sides of this. One, it is punishing on your settlement. If you want the game to be harder, Spidicules will do that for you. But the other big thing here, the Spidicules looks awesome. This model is very cool. This model is also unplayable. You saw, even in the digital version, I had trouble getting models around, maneuvering things. It was an absolute pain. I do not own this in tabletop for that reason. That it is unwieldy. It's gigantic. Good luck having shelf space for this thing. So, personal opinion on this one, Spidicules is an avoid. That said, we have our first edition here of Abyssal Woods. Abyssal Woods is an expansion coming in the future. I want to say 2027 is probably when we'll see Abyssal Woods. Abyssal Woods isn't going to be like a Gambler's Chest style expansion. It's just going to be a series of models that they release. And if you have all of those models, you can play that campaign associated. We don't know too much about Abyssal Woods at this point, but we know Spidicules will be involved, as well as Flower Knight, and to an extent, the Dung Beetle Knight. I don't think the Dung Beetle Knight will be core to the experience, but it's kind of like a side add-on that would be helpful from a lore perspective, as well as I don't know what any of this stuff is just yet. Disciples of the Witch, couldn't tell you what that is. Might be Red Witches. Highly unlikely it's Red Witches. It's probably its own thing. Yeah, no, definitely its own thing. Dragon Goblin, I think they had a prototype of this thing at Gen Con. Looks kind of wild. The Flower Witch, probably going to be the core monster. And the Honeycomb Weaver, the cute little bee. They showed this guy off at Gen Con as well. So something to think about when you're planning out your purchases, like, hey, this would be a cool one to have for the future. But as it is right now, I would not call that a particularly strong purchase. Slenderman. We almost saw Slenderman in this campaign. Slenderman, big buy. Big buy. First and foremost, because it replaces the Kingsman. And nobody likes the Kingsman. The Kingsman fight is fine. It's punishing, but it's a nemesis monster. It's supposed to be punishing. It's just also annoying because you have that battle pressure. If you don't have the fighting art to deal with the battle pressure, half the fight is just trying to get the fighting art. And then once you have the fighting art, battle pressure doesn't matter anymore. It's repetitive for no real gain. And on top of that, it's a punishing thing to have in your campaign. 90% of the time, Kingsman being in your campaign just means -4 population. Unless you have a terrible settlement to begin with, at which point he can actually be help. But it's something that rewards you for bad luck, essentially, and punishes you for doing well, which I don't enjoy. So replacing the Kingsman is like number one of my priorities, suggestions for upgrading your game. Lonely Tree. Saw a little bit of the Lonely Tree. Oopsie. Right now, I'm going to put the Lonely Tree at an avoid. It doesn't really add anything. Lonely Tree, like, I would kind of put Lonely Tree alongside Green Knight. Of, hey, if you got everything else, you might as well get the tree. But on its own, the tree does not add a great deal. It's a fun encounter, like it's something extra to do, but compared to literally everything else in the game, it is very, very low on the priority list. Lion Knight. We had Lion Knight in a couple of campaigns. We never got around to seeing it because those campaigns were cursed. I'm going to say Lion Knight is an avoid for now. The reason Lion Knight is an avoid is, one, the fight is a cool concept. I have not participated in said fight, but a lot of people seem to agree it's not terribly engaging. It's not much of a challenge. A nemesis monster should be a challenge, and the Lion Knight doesn't really offer that. As well, the way the Lion Knight shows up and affects your timeline really complicates things. Slenderman is basically a 1-to-1 swap with the Kingsman, so it works. Lion Knight, which is also a Nemesis Node 2, doesn't. Uh, just really throws a lot of chaos. If you remember from our campaign 2, my timeline was a wreck. We never got there, thankfully, but it would have been. I think I had Lion Knight level 3, Butcher level 2, and something else, one of the story events, all happening in the same year, which obviously can't happen, which means something needs to get pushed to the next year. And then at that point, you're fighting 2 Nemesis monsters in a row, which is painful for your development. So in addition to people's feelings about the fight, I just really do not like the way it interacts with your campaign. Lion God. Have not seen this one on stream yet because we haven't gotten around to Nemesis or to Quarry Node 4 yet. Quarry Node 4 currently is the Lion God and the Dung Beetle Knight, and eventually the King. Lion God, not worth it. Not worth it. Do not own this one physically. I think the model itself is freaking weird. Not a big fan of it. Let's take a quick look at the model. Yeah, I don't particularly like it. Like it's weird, but everything in Kingdom Death is weird, and it's even weird by those standards. Like, it's just off-putting to me. Doesn't seem like a particularly enjoyable model on the hobby side of things. You could just do way better. Way better. Gorm. All right, we got a split decision here. Going to be same as the Sunstalker. Maybe with the Gambler's Chest. Without the Gambler's Chest, absolutely. You see in the Gorm on the stream recently. Absolutely love that expansion. It's, I would say, second to Slenderman for recommendations for new players to the game for expansions. Because by the time you're looking to expand your game, you've probably fought the White Lion 10,000 times. And the Gorm fits the role of not needing to fight the White Lion anymore. It's a more interesting fight. It has a lot more tactics to it. It has a lot more like story event to it. The gear is way more interesting. It adds new mechanics with the alchemist as well. Really, really great update to the campaign. Just with Gambler's Chest, again, being an older expansion, does not interact with those systems. Flower Knight, another one that you've seen in our recent campaign. I'm going to go so far as to say, with Gambler's Chest, avoid. Or at least wait. Let's say that. Wait. Has the same sort of caveat as everybody else. Old expansion with Gambler's Chest doesn't really work. But especially at Quarry Node 2, I think the Flower Knight is cool. The Flower Knight in the old way of playing Kingdom Death, where you would just add a couple expansions to your game, right? We didn't have the node system as we currently know it. Technically, we still don't have the node system. That's part of Campaigns of Death, but we've been given the rules for it, and it's a good way to structure your campaign. So you could have the Screaming Antelope and the Flower Knight in the same campaign, and that was cool. You would hunt the Flower Knight like 2 times and then never look at him again. With the current node system, remember, like I said, you really only want to be fighting your node 2 6 times. Once at level 1, twice at level 2, 3 times at level 3. And if you have multiple node 2 monsters, that gets annoying. You're basically going to fight the Flower Knight until you get the bow and then never look at him again. So you don't want to do that. And as a full-on replacement for the Antelope, for the Smog Singers, I don't think he quite measures up. There's less gear available from the Flower Knight. I the gear that's there, like the bow is awesome, the sword is cool. There's really not a lot else to work with. So you're losing an entire armor set that you would be getting from a node 2, a multitude of weapons and other stuff. So Flower Knight is something that is heavily waiting on Campaigns of Death for with the Gambler's Chest. Without the Gambler's Chest, I think it's a cool addition. Like, I like the Flower Knight. I think it's got a cool aesthetic. The fight is interesting, having to work your way around the fairy ring. It does add some interesting mechanics into the campaign. And without the Gambler's Chest, you don't really need to adhere to that node system. I've been doing it in my campaigns on the simulator just to kind of get myself into that practice. But there's you don't have to. It's just something I'm choosing to do. And then just another note here. The Flower Knight will also be part of the Abyssal Woods expansion when we get there. So this is one of the big ones that a lot of people have their eye on for Campaigns of Death, because the Flower Knight as a concept is cool. As an addition to your campaign is cool. As a core part of what you're building your campaign around, has some shortcomings right now. Dung Beetle Knight. All right. All right. With Gambler's Chest, maybe. Without Gambler's Chest, bye. Same thing. It's a quarry that does not interact with Gambler's Chest. We've been over that 100 times. Without the Gambler's Chest, really strong purchase, because it's basically your only option for Quarry Node 4. The King is in the Gambler's Chest. The Lion God kind of sucks. The Dung Beetle Knight is what you got. And I will say, aesthetically, the Dung Beetle Knight is one of my favorite ones in the game. I just love the way this guy looks. Got charisma for days, and the armor set is really awesome as well. So adding in the hobby aspect to the game really raises Dung Beetle Knight's stock in my book. In addition to mechanically awesome fight, adds a lot of interesting story events to your campaign, and also a lot of cool gear that you can chase after. So without Gambler's Chest, Dung Beetle Knight is essentially your only option for a Quarry Node 4. So definitely should get, again, with Gambler's Chest, the usual. With that, until Campaigns of Death, not much to it. And he will also be a part of Abyssal Woods. And then finally, our last old expansion, the Dragon King. And I'm just going to say it. I'm gonna be it. I'm going to live my life. Strong buy either way. The Dragon King does not interact with the Gambler's Chest in any meaningful way. Again, if you've got the Gambler's Chest, the only Node 3 that fully interacts with it is the Phoenix. There's only so many times you can fight the Phoenix. You're going to want another Node 3 at some point, even if it does not fully interact with the Gambler's Chest. And between Sunstalker and Dragon King, I feel Dragon King is the better purchase. Without Gambler's Chest, 100%. Dragon King is awesome. Another one of my favorite models. This was the first thing I ever built for Kingdom Death. And it looks awesome. The armor set is awesome. So much cool gear. And much like the Sunstalker, Dragon King comes with its own campaign, and People of the Stars is wild. That's all I'll say. Really looking forward to playing People of the Stars on the simulator. When I do get around to that, it will not be with Gambler's Chest. Again, too much stuff going on, but People of the Stars, actually, you kind of want certain fighting arts as well. And Arc Survivors and fighting arts do not go together anymore. Fighting arts have largely been replaced by the philosophy and knowledge system. But even with all that being said, still going to say it's a big buy if you have the Gambler's Chest. Campaigns of Death will come out at some point, but even then, I love the expansion so much. I can't say. If you can't fight the Phoenix forever, regardless of what the content currently supports. So Dragon King is a solid Node 3. All right, Black Knight. Black Knight is one of the things I have my eyes on for this upcoming Black Friday. And the weird thing here is if you're playing People of the Dreamkeeper with the Gambler's Chest, you literally cannot use the Black Knight. The Black Knight replaces the hand. People of the Dreamkeeper requires the hand. Still getting a buy from me. Without the Gambler's Chest, we have not seen the hand on stream yet. The hand is just a largely uninteresting fight. The best way to fight the hand is to not fight the hand. That's all I'll say at this point. Not a particularly engaging fight, not very enjoyable. The Black Knight is literally the opposite of that. So again, amazing modeling here. Black Knight is one that I'm really looking forward to eventually painting. But also, look at all this. The Black Knight has its own terrain. You don't fight it on the normal board. You go to the Black Knight's citadel to fight him. And it is an experience all on its own. And in addition to all that, he does have a mini campaign of his own. The Squires campaign is only a 5-year campaign, but it's another point of value in its favor. Has its own armor sets associated with it. The Count, the Marchioness, and the Baron, I believe. Showdown, very unique. Really looking forward to showing this one off in the simulator. Mini campaign of 5 years, and just a wild fight on its own. So much going on here. This is a nemesis creature with its own armor sets associated with it. Not a very common thing to see. Nemesis, sometimes you get 1 or 2 pieces of gear instead of full armor sets. Yeah, absolutely awesome purchase here. So even though you cannot use it in People of the Dreamkeeper, you could just run People of the Lantern with Gambler's Chest and happily use the Black Knight, and that is a strong recommend. Oh, additionally, Inverted Mountain. That's not how you spell inverted. This is another piecemeal campaign that is coming. We actually have roughly half of it already. So the Inverted Mountain will include the Frogdog, the Pariah, the Red Witches, the Black Knight. So all 4 of those are already out. And then upcoming, the Oblivion Mosquito, the Griffin, and the Nightmare Ram. Just like we said with Abyssal Woods, once you have all of those pieces, you now have access to the full Inverted Mountain campaign. So something to be mindful of when you're making your purchases. There will be additional value beyond what you see just in the box. which of course brings us to Frogdog. I'm going to give him a maybes. I don't particularly enjoy the Frogdog. The fight itself is cool. Like, the lily pads are cool. I could do without the fart mechanic, but it is what it is. I just think there's a lot of downsides to it. Maybe it was luck based, but I got way too many disorders that sidelined characters. And then there is a resource later on, once you're making higher level armor, that's just annoying to get. Maybe as more of the inverted mountain comes out, that'll kind of smooth itself out. But right now, not a particularly big fan of the Frogdog, but I will concede it is a Quarry Node 1, so replaces the White Lion or the Crimson Crocodile, that does work with the Gambler's Chest, as it is a new piece of content. And he also is part of the Inverted Mountain. Then finally, coming up here, we've got Pariah. I'm going to currently give it maybes. Just due to the fact that there's so many other options. And I just realized, did I miss it? No, it's not listed here. The Manhunter. Manhunter's not here. Butcher is essentially a perfect Nemesis Node 1. Manhunter is also an excellent replacement for the Butcher. If Manhunter was literally anywhere else in the campaign, he would be a must-buy. But the Butcher is already such a juggernaut of his own. And the Pariah, unfortunately, has to contend with those two. Pariah is a really interesting fight. Like, mechanically, super interesting. It's just at Nemesis Node 1, you've already got some really good options. So that's going to bring me to Manhunter. Manhunter's a buy. You saw us fight the Manhunter. I was terrified of him just because he deals so much damage, but the fight was really cool. I love the wrestling references. And having options early on in your campaign is just helpful, right? Reason why Gorm is so highly ranked. You fight a lot of white lions. Eventually you're going to get tired of fighting white lions. You fight less antelopes because sometimes you get campaigns that don't quite get that far. You fight even less phoenixes, right? So the farther you get into a campaign, the less value there is in replacing something, unless it's with an absolute banger of a release like the Black Knight. So as great as the Butcher is, eventually you'll get tired of fighting the Butcher, and Manhunter is absolutely a perfect replacement for the Butcher. Red Witches. Love the Red Witches. You've seen me gushing about the Red Witches. Replacement for the Kingsman. So if you've already got the Slenderman and you don't quite have a lot of expansions, maybe wait on the Red Witches. Or if you just want to jump right in, you can get the Red Witches instead of the Slenderman. Absolutely amazing expansion. I think I gushed about this enough on my own campaign when I unboxed it. Haven't quite gotten to the encounter just yet, but just a gorgeous expansion. If you're a fan of the hobby side of Kingdom Death, there's a lot to love in this campaign. Like, these models are amazing. And with so many new mechanics that get added in, This is a huge, huge addition to your campaign. Mechanically, and then like lore-wise, absolutely amazing. Also ties in with Inverted Mountain. Strong purchase. And then finally, Nukealope. I'm not giving Nukealope a rating just yet. It literally just came out 3 weeks ago. I obviously don't have it. I have not seen anybody else play with it yet. So I don't have... Actually, you know what? I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to upgrade it to maybe. So I don't really know what to expect. The Nukealope, much like the Killenium Butcher and the White Gigalion, upgrades the Screaming Antelope. I honestly don't even know what that means. Awesome model. Let's start with that. Like, we're going to learn about the Nukealope together, apparently. Lots of cool art cards. That's nice. Yeah. Looks like it has its own vignette as well. I believe all of the... obviously, they're called the Vignettes of Death. Of course it comes with a vignette, dummy. A little dwarf guy? That's cool. Shady Monday? Pizza. Pizza? Sunday needs a friend. Ash Bloom and Ash Root. Cool. So the reason I decided to upgrade, and this is based solely on vibes. Does it come with a comic? I guess there's like a little comic in the rule book. That's cool. We didn't talk about it, but the Dragon King. Let's see. Do we have something to take a quick look at here? Not really. The Dragon King is an interesting expansion because the Dragon King has a thing known as the Radiant Heart. The Dragon King is literally a nuclear reactor. Probably a better analogy would be fighting the Dragon King is like fighting Godzilla in Godzilla versus Destroya. He's constantly melting down, and that is something you have to deal with in the fight. So, like, the nuclear heart of the dragon is literally a thing that you can obtain and craft gear out of. And I'm going to operate under the assumption that the Nukealope interacts with the Dragon King in some way. That is an assumption based on literally the name of the monster. So, gonna give it a maybe, just like the other vignettes, because they don't add anything to your campaign, right? You're not replacing the antelope with something else, right? It's still the antelope. It's still all the same gear. It's still most of the same mechanics. You're just tweaking it. And the vignettes are a little on the expensive side compared to a lot of the other expansions. All right, so that wraps the main expansions. What else have we got? I think it's in the miniatures. Yeah, miniatures with gameplay. So there is a lot of stuff to talk about in here. We're not going to go over everything. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take a quick little break to give my voice a rest. Honestly, didn't think I'd already be going this long, but we're still rolling. So hang out just a few, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, folks. Got myself a nice little cough drop going there. Ready to finish this up. So this second part, probably not going to be as in depth. Whereas we're talking about the single models, the white boxes, etc. There's a lot going on here, but we're not going to be talking about everything. We're just going to focus on some highlights. All right, and the first thing we're going to talk about, because I did bring it up, is the Echoes of Death. So there are 4 Echoes of Death expansions. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Haha. Each one comes with 4 models. And admittedly, those models are very cool. And they get better as the newer ones come out. And 4 fighting arts. Specifically, what are known as strain fighting arts. So essentially, rules as written. Strain fighting arts do not come out of the box. You have to accomplish certain tasks to unlock them in future campaigns. It's cool. Like, it's kind of like what I said with like the Green Knight and a lot of the gamblers chest, like the seed patterns. It gives you something to work on. It gives you something to work toward, other than just um, playing the campaign and getting to the end. It adds value to your overall experience, gives you different objectives and different priorities. That's cool. But the end payoff for that is a fighting art. And you can't even add all the fighting arts into your deck. I forget the rule. I think it's either 3 or 5. Don't ask me. Like, I don't have a source for that. I just know there's a limit. So between the 4 Echoes of Death, you'll have 16 fighting arts. If you go through the process of rules as written, unlocking them, you don't have to. You can just shove them into your game if you want. I'm not going to stop you. But I think you're kind of losing a good portion of the value of that chase. You can only put 3 or 5 of them in your fighting art deck at a time. And then after all that work, you still have to randomly draw it. So it's a cool addition. Personally, I don't feel it is worth the investment. There is a strong hobby aspect to it. Like, I love the models. I will say nothing bad about the models. They're all gorgeous. High hobby value. Like this little monk girl, love her. But the actual gameplay value, and I know I'm in the minority here. That's what I'm saying. Because once you have arc survivors, fighting arts essentially become nearly useless. And we'll get into a lot of the specifics of that once we start playing Gambler's Chest ourselves. Definitely happening next week. But that highly devalues the Echoes of Death. And it's a product I personally was not super excited about anyway. But that is my personal take. A lot of people will highly recommend the Echoes of Death, and that's fine. That's cool. Not going to argue. I say this as somebody who does not own them. Maybe if I had purchased them, I would feel differently. But as somebody who does not own the Echoes of Death, I do not see a huge incentive to buy into them. Vignettes talked about Anniversary Survivors. Anniversary Survivors, also very cool. Models are among the best you will find in the game. Come with seed patterns, so this is something that has a little more value than a fighting art. It's something that will work both with and without the Gambler's Chest. Hobby aspect, very high. Gameplay aspect, also fairly high. So that's why for these, they're both going to get maybes, right? Not essential, I would say, but very worth the addition. Again, not cheap, right? You're spending $77 for 4 models and some stuff that you'll maybe sometimes use. Not discounting that. So if you're into the hobby side, right? Echoes of Death and 10th Anniversary are both strong purchases. Personally, I think for the actual gameplay side of things, I would get more out of the Anniversary Survivors than I would out of the Echoes. There's also in here, where are they? Looking. Survivors of Death. I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure there's also a 15th anniversary set. Might not be in the shop currently. I could be mistaken on that. Pinups of Death, pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Not a ton of gameplay to be had here. This is almost entirely hobby based. Some very cool models, not gonna lie, but gameplay wise, you're only getting a story event out of this set. Models are cool. If you're here for the hobby aspect, it's more expensive than the others, but you're also getting more physically in the box. Gameplay, nothing there, so that is up to you. And there is so much pinup stuff. Let's be honest. Kingdom Death has a reputation for a reason. All of these gonna go into the same bucket of hobby value over gameplay value, and we're just gonna keep scrolling. Next one I want to talk about here. All right, we have Skrelle. Skrelle is something we have in the simulator. Skrelle is just a single model. So again, especially when you're in the single model territory, the price to value ratio gets thrown off, right? It's the same concept as buying in bulk, right? The more stuff you get in a box, the better value you get out of the box. Most of these single models are in the $30-ish range. That is a personal decision to the purchaser whether that is worth their money. I'm just looking at these of within all of these $30-ish models, which ones would you want to look into? Skrelle, I'd say, is a pretty solid purchase, right? It adds a story event to your campaign. It adds a new, like, essentially innovation. It's a fun way to grow your campaign. So I'm gonna add Skrelle to my list as a solid maybe, right? Almost nothing in this section is going to be a buy, right? It's all going to be maybes. This is all very, very small additions, right? You're going to be more interested in the big expansions, but hey, if there's a cool deal on some of these single model expansions, I want to give you something to look at. Mystery birthday gift. Pizza actually got me the mystery birthday gift for my birthday a couple years ago. It's cute, but it's not a lot going on there from a gameplay standpoint. Indomitable Survivors. All right. So we're going to lump all of these Indomitable Survivors together. And I'm going to put all of these in the buy category with an asterisk. Oh, come on, Sam. Get it together. Buy to an extent. Indomitable Survivors are something you can very simply add into literally any campaign you're playing. When you're fighting a level 3 monster, you give it the Indomitable trait, which means once you knock it down, after the next action, it will get right back up again. It was a balance mechanic put into the game because a lot of gameplay at high level revolved around waiting until you got a knockdown and then blowing all your survivor and killing, or all your survival and killing the monster in one turn, which is not a terribly engaging or fun gameplay loop. So Indomitable Survivors, you now have a little harder of a fight, but you get a special resource out of it. We saw this when we looked at Morg and a couple of the other survivors in the simulator, which you can craft high-level gear out of. So a risk-reward. Risk of having a slightly potentially harder fight for the reward of getting some really awesome gear out of it. Not all not all Indomitable Survivors are created equally. So looking at Lenore here, she has a claw weapon, which is cool, right? 3 speed, 6 accuracy, 3 strength, interacts with the White Lion armor. White Lion armor is not of particularly huge value, so your mileage may vary. Whereas Zell here, Zell interacts with the Screaming Antelope, and the Stampede Glaive is honestly pretty awesome. Not super accurate, but hits like a truck. And so this is where, if you're interested in Indomitable Survivors, literally just look through them and figure out which ones personally appeal to you. Obviously, like Lenore works with the White Lion, Zell works with the Screaming Antelope. If you have the game, you literally have access to them. But something like Grimory, right? Grimory, their resource comes from the Gorm. So if you don't have the Gorm, obviously, you don't need to get Grimory. So look through, like you could literally filter the page specifically for Indomitable Survivors. Highly recommend them if you're interested in these single model purchases. I think they are among the best you can get, but take a little bit of time, because if you buy all of them, you're basically buying Kingdom Death a second time at that point. What else am I looking at here? Screaming Sun Lucy. Let's take a look at Screaming Sun Lucy. So Screaming Sun Lucy is a super heavy maybe. Because she essentially only works in the People of the Sun campaign. There are a couple like these. There's Screaming Armor Lucy, and let's see if I can find her. Oh, there's 15th Anniversary Survivors. There's a couple others, and they're nice additions to People of the Sun. People of the Sun is traditionally seen as one of the weaker expansions, but these kind of add a little extra depth to that campaign. So very, very maybes on that one. What else have we got here? Morgan the Savior. Just going to talk about her briefly because she is in the simulator. She's essentially a free gift if you have the Master Key. I don't think other key levels get her, but essentially it's something that would not typically be included with the Master Key that Master Key owners did get. And she is a savior. So we haven't seen this in any of our campaigns because I am chronically incapable of rolling on intimacy. But you have the option of, from time to time, giving birth to what is known as a savior. Super powerful survivors that have a limited shelf life, let's just say. They burn bright, but they burn fast. And Where Morgan is an interesting twist on that. Morgan is a character, like capital C character. When we were talking about the new mechanics in the Gambler's Chest, and we talked about the character innovation. So you can literally just draw her card and have access to her. She's not as powerful as the normal saviors are, but cool addition. Uh, that said, she is a legendary character. And when you have characters in your campaign, you build your deck. It is 25 cards. 24 of them are normal characters. One of them is a legendary. Um, can probably do better than Morgan for your legendary. Just wanted to talk about her briefly because she is in the simulator, even though we have not seen her yet. What else have we got here? Oh, Lantern Armor Aya. Is that one of the ones on my list? I don't know. It's Sun Lantern Armor. Yeah, not this one. Um, so there are a lot of these where, if you look at this, get a lot of cool stuff. Not going to lie, right? The issue with a lot of these sets is they come with two models. They come with a gameplay model, and then they come with a painter's scale model. So, super high hobby value. I wish we could see some of these expansions without the painter scale model, because I'm a hobby guy. Like I love building and painting models. I'm perfectly happy building and painting the one I can actually play with. I have little to no use for a cool model that's just going to sit on my shelf. Um, so just a downside there for me. And there's quite a few of these. If you see, like they're, I said the single models are usually in the $30 range, and this one pops into the $70 range because again, all of these that you see around that glows a little different. Sorry. But there are quite a few in here that have that higher price point just because they come with that painter scale model. Here's our 15th anniversary survivors. Just wanted to look at them real quick because they're awesome looking. Like, happily buy these for the hobby value alone. In addition, I honestly don't know what comes in here mechanically. It looks like some terrain. There's a whole location that comes with it. Interesting. But yeah, another hobby purchase there. You get a big old bundle, $476. I was semi-joking when I said buying all the Indomitable Survivors would be like buying the game again. I was underselling that. What else have we got in here? Survivors of Death. This is not something we've looked at. This is the successor to the Echoes of Death. Similar thing, similar concept, right? Just with different mechanical stuff, right? Like instead of 4 fighting arts, you're getting a character. You're getting I think a couple. Yeah, these are all character cards. But you're also getting some seed patterns and some other stuff in there as well. Looks like a collective cognition. So essentially, Echoes of Death has been phased out. As I said, little value with the Gambler's Chest, and Survivors of Death is the successor. And personally speaking, I like what's included in these a bit more. So I will put in Survivors of Death. I would say a buy. Whoops. I'd say a buy and an avoid. Because obviously, if you don't have the Gambler's Chest, there is almost no value in there. And there should be some more stuff in here. Unless they've delisted some stuff from the store. Interesting. Because I was expecting to have a lot more to talk about. That's unfortunate, because there is some really cool stuff in here that appears to just not be on the shop. Okay, one other thing to talk about now that we're here. Pinup, or not pinup only, for hobby purposes only, I love the Death High. What if the Kingdom Death characters were in high school is so dumb, but they all look so awesome. What else have we got in here? There's a comic book. That's weird. Like, because I know there's more stuff. Just might not be on the store right now. So let me see if I can find a couple of these then. So, Ringtail Vixen. All right, there she is. I found her. Yeah, she's completely out of stock everywhere. That's why she's not on the website right now. So, if Ringtail Vixen is in stock, Ringtail Vixen is a double buy. Because one, again, just a model, right? She comes with a bookmark. A bookmark that you add to the intimacy page in your book so that if you roll a 1, you don't immediately lose everything. Like, intimacy at the beginning of a campaign is roll a 1, start a new campaign. So this definitely helps out with that. Not only does it help save you, you actually get like a really cool character out of it. And then, yes, rules as written. Once you use it, you have to roll a d10. If you roll a 1 to 5, I guess you could never use this again. Yeah, just use it. Really strong addition. Let's see. Here we go. We got the White Speaker. So this is what we talked about with Fade, right? Fade is a White Speaker. White Speaker Order is a big part of the lore. And this particular White Speaker character just comes with some really good gear. Like, straight up. Model is very simplistic. This is one of the early models. But White Speaker, I'll put in as a maybe for everything. Not as strong as Ringtail Vixen. Ringtail Vixen is very useful. And then the last one I wanted to talk about is Allison. Allison the Twilight Knight. So, as you've seen in our campaigns, having a Twilight Sword user in your campaign is a challenge. It's worth the payoff if you can get their proficiency up and have them survive until the end of the campaign. Those are 2 ifs. Allison. So I'm gonna say, let's feel a little spicy, right? Solid addition to the People of the Lantern campaign, and literally only the People of the Lantern campaign. So if you don't have the Gambler's Chest, I'm going to assume you're playing mostly People of the Lantern, Allison would be a good addition. If you have the Gambler's Chest, you could probably just beat the crap out of People of the Lantern without a Twilight Sword user. So she kind of loses some value on that front. Yeah, I thought we were going to have a lot more to talk about, but apparently there's just a lot of these white boxes that are currently out of stock. So there wasn't that much, not much going on. So let's just take a quick browse through here, because I actually don't know what some of these newer ones are. I do know this model is amazing, and I want it. Oh, oh God. I just noticed how creepy that horse is. I believe Ash Bloom was one of the characters from the Nukealope vignette, and it looks like she has her own individual model as well. Awesome looking model. With 3 seed patterns. Okay. So black lichen, so high level stuff. Wow, interesting. Okay, so this is going on my personal list. I just love this model. Brave and Hollow. These are from Black Knight, if I'm remembering correctly. What do they come with? They come with 3 more seed patterns. Okay. Nice art card. Cool. Looks like this was a Halloween purchase. Nifty. Talked a lot about Indomitable Survivors already. What is Snow? I'm not familiar. Well, she's cute. Uh, 4 versions of Snow as she travels through the land of the ethereal dreamer. Interesting. A Hovel Consequence Innovation, and a legendary character card, and a secret fighting art. And 4 rare gear. Oh, so that's interesting. So she starts as a young girl and ages into a crone. That's actually really cool. Each with a different gear card associated with her. Interesting. I really like that. Indomitables for days. What is this? Interesting. Designed in 2013. Okay, so it looks like this is, yeah, this is a beta character. So if you see a character or any of these boxes with beta gear, you're essentially buying the model. And or beta rules, beta gear, beta anything like that. You're basically buying the model, and they're throwing in a card as like a bonus. Yeah, so you see it's got like the weird box. If it's not in the actual white box, has the little line across it. So like this is 100% a hobby purchase. So if you like the model, cool. Otherwise, you're not getting much out of it. Male Estate Hero. This looks like, yeah, this is another beta. So many Indomitables. Frozen Survivor. Yep, that's another beta. Guinevere. So this is another character. She is not legendary, so that's cool. When you depart for a showdown against a nemesis monster, gain +1 luck token. All right, well, she's cool. And then glow. What is glow? So she is a legendary character. The Glamorous. When you reach the following Hunt XP milestones, gain the listed. So I think this is probably a lot like Snow, where the character kind of evolves over time. These tokens? Like, this is wild. That's a cool set. What do the models look like? Okay. I like Snow better. Anything else in here? What's Elspeth? All right, just a character. Looks like she's not legendary, so that's of note. Oh, who are you? I haven't seen this one. There's so much stuff added to this game. I don't keep up with everything. Wow, you're cool. What expansion do you use? King. Okay. So if you have Gambler's Chest, you can use him. I think that covers pretty much everything. All right, so I think that's about it for us tonight. Let's do a quick recap, right? So this is why we were here to talk about the upcoming Black Friday sale and what you should buy. So we have our big list of recommendations. So let's recommend some recommendations. First thing I would buy. First thing. Either Slenderman or Red Witches. Right? Get the Kingsmen the heck out of your campaign. Your choice is up to you as to which one you want. Red Witches is 1,000 times cooler, but it's also more expensive. So I leave that decision up to you. Second thing I would purchase, I'm going to go with the tried and true Gorm. Assuming you don't have the Gambler's Chest. So 2 with a star. Everything after 2, move up 1 rank if you have the Gambler's Chest. Gorm is still really cool. I'd say still worth having. But Crimson Croc just does everything you want the Gorm to do in a Ark Survivors campaign. These are both tough. I'm going to put the Dragon King at 3. Just because you get more value. You get the full 30-year campaign with the Dragon King. Does not play great with Gambler's Chest. There's some Indomitable Survivors that'll help close that gap. But I think I would put Dragon King slightly over Black Knight. I think in a vacuum, Black Knight is the better expansion as far as gameplay is concerned, without regard to value. But you will use the Dragon King more often than you will use the Black Knight. especially because if you're playing People of the Dreamkeeper, you literally cannot use the Black Knight. That campaign requires the hand as your Nemesis Node 3, so you cannot use the Black Knight. So I think for value purposes, I will put Dragon King above Black Knight, even though I think Black Knight is the better expansion. After that, I kind of leave it up to you, right? What is interesting to you? Where do you want to go? Um, if you have Gorm, right? Like let's think about when we're going to encounter these guys, right? If Quarry Node 1 is obviously the thing you're going to get the most value out of replacing, which would be replacing it with the Gorm. Nemesis Node 1 is going to be your next one, probably, right? Butcher is great. So up to you. Would you want to replace the Butcher? Or do you want to upgrade the Butcher? None of these choices are bad. Killenium Butcher is awesome. Manhunter is awesome. Pariah, even though I have him as a maybe, it's still a solid purchase. Still a solid purchase. It's Manhunter is just way more affordable. That Pariah mechanically is way more interesting lore wise. And here's the thing that I have not mentioned. If you have red witches, get Pariah, because there is actually interaction between those two expansions. I forget exactly how it works. I think it's if you fight the level 3 red witches and Pariah is in your campaign, other stuff happens. Like they work together outside of Inverted Mountain. So let's go with that. If you bought Slenderman, buy Manhunter. If you bought red witches, buy Pariah. I think that's the way to think about it. Quarry Node 2, honestly, not a great look. Spidicules is just super avoid. Flower Knight, I still think is a worthwhile purchase. Flower Knight is a worthwhile purchase because I do like what it adds. Just with the Gambler's Chest, you're going to get tired of having to fight him. Outside of the Gambler's Chest, just slap it into a campaign. Don't replace anything, and you'll be very happy. Quarry Node 3, we talked about. Dragon King is a great buy. Nothing against Sunstalker. Sunstalker is also awesome. Dragon King's just better in my eyes. Nemesis Node 3, literally only one choice, and that's the Black Knight, which we talked about. Very highly recommended. And then finally, Quarry Node 4. If you have the Gambler's Chest, I don't think you need to buy a Quarry Node 4. The King is just awesome. And it's so far into the campaign, it'll be a long time before you get tired of fighting the King. That said, if you do want to replace it, that's what Dung Beetle Knight is for. Dung Beetle Knight is cool. If you don't have Gambler's Chest, Dung Beetle Knight goes way up in value. It's your only option for Quarry Node 4 as far as I'm concerned. Beyond that, I love Indomitable Survivors. I love Survivors of Death. But like number one, Ringtail Vixen, right? Just huge quality of life upgrade. So that's it. Keep your eyes peeled. If you are in the Kingdom Death Discord, there's a nice little bot that'll notify you when the sale goes live. I'll usually wake up in the middle of the night after a large Thanksgiving dinner, just to you know, help things digest a bit and spend a few minutes on my phone looking at the sale. Otherwise, I'll do it first thing in the morning on Friday. It's a very, very exciting time to be part of this community. Everybody really comes together. Lots of sharing what your favorite stuff is, which is why I did this. I did the content creator thing, right? Everybody who does Kingdom Death stuff has a video like this, so this is my version of it. Kind of thrown together at the last minute. Wasn't planning on this. Maybe I'll try to have something a little better, higher production value next year. What does this mean for the stream? Okay, so something is happening to the simulator next Friday. What that something is, I don't know. The assumption is it's Gambler's Chest. It could be the promised painting. I highly doubt it, but maybe. You can get into that room if you try hard enough, although you'll fall into the black abyss. There's nothing really there. But I'm assuming something interesting is happening with the simulator. Additionally, wouldn't be surprised to see the Kickstarter go live. So, next Friday, I'm not going to be streaming. Just full disclosure, both myself and my wife, we work in online retail. Black Friday, kind of busy. We both primarily work in the office, so not like busting our backs, working all day long, but still going to be chaotic, going to be helping out where we need to. And then coming out of the holiday, we're just going to want to relax tomorrow night. If there is something very cool to do in the simulator, I will be doing a supersized live stream on Saturday. I don't know the exact times. Gonna kind of make it up as I go along. Have some errands to run in the morning, obviously, take care of the family, take care of the pets. But I'm gonna go live whenever I go live, and I'm gonna roll for 4, 5, 6 hours, however long my body and my voice hold out. If there is something really cool happening with the simulator. If we happen to not get any new content next week, I just won't be streaming next week. We'll be back the following Friday, and we will pick up with our redemption campaign as best we can. Hopefully the cloud saves will be working a little better by then. If not, we'll make it work. We'll figure something out. So that's all I've got this week, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hope this was informative. I watch a lot of videos like this myself from other content creators, but I feel like they're coming from a point of view of very experienced people who have been playing this game for 10 years, have 20 or so campaigns under their belt. I wanted to look at this from more of the casual side for people who are interested in entering into the community and into the hobby, and I hope I succeeded on that front. So have a wonderful night, everybody. Enjoy your holiday if you are celebrating it in your country next week, and fingers crossed, definitely getting Gambler's Chest this week, and I'll be seeing you I'll be seeing you Saturday. If not, well, thanks anyway, and I'll see you the week after. Good night.